IELTS Listening and Phonetic Linking. Hi there, my name is Ben Worthington from IELTSPodcast.com, and in this quick tutorial we are first going to go over the section of the exam, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of advice, and then I'm going to jump into phonetic linking, pronunciation awareness, and I'm going to give you a few exercises that I think would, that I absolutely know would help improve your listening skills. Right then, before we jump into it, let me just share with you our new tool. And I'm sharing this because soon we are going to be adding the ability to listen to the questions when you're going through, and we're going to hopefully add different accents as well, so you can hear different IELTS examiners and different accents. So we might even add an Indian accent. We might add why I like a Geordie accent, We'll just have to see. Perhaps put in the comments which accent you would like. We could put an Aussie accent in there, a Welsh accent, a Scottish accent, a British accent. Ideally, we could even put my accent in there. Let's move on. So, test structure. Section 1, it's informal or semi-informal, just two people simulating an everyday situation, a reservation, a restaurant booking, whatever. It's quite straightforward. You don't need to worry about that. I would imagine for most students that's a straightforward part. Section 2 starts to get a little bit more complicated. A good knowledge of numbers and directions, procedures, very helpful if you've got those areas covered. Section 3, for speakers, it's probably a little bit more complex. It's usually educational based, especially in the academic one, so it's definitely worthwhile brushing up on your education vocabulary. What does that mean? Qualifications, students, pupils, graduation, all of that kind of vocabulary. Section 4, often it's a monologue, and it's usually an academic, it's not often, it's usually always a monologue, and it's an academic topic. So again, brush up on your academic topics and the academic vocabulary. The academic word list could be a useful tool there. I'm going to get into more preparation strategies in a minute. So the first one, okay, just be aware of the test. Do some practice tests, perhaps reverse engineer, so you look at the answers first, then listen, look at the transcripts, really drill down, figure out which section of the test you're losing points on, and then in the next mock listening test you do, just focus on that specific area, that specific type of question. And also you want to improve your note-taking skills. Transcribing audios is a great way to do this because you're writing, you're listening at the same time, and it simulates, it's a skill you definitely need to master. It's one of those exam skills that you definitely need to master for success. Concentration. Personally, I used to be an absolute nightmare when it comes to concentration. I had one of those monkey minds, and it was really damaging. It was really not helpful. So I learned to meditate. I used other techniques such as Wim Hof, and lo and behold, with some headphones in the right environment, I can work for hours now. So it's just one of those skills. If you find that you've got a monkey mind, then it's just a question of working on that specific skill, mastering that, and then moving on and figuring out the next one. Next one, answer as you listen. This is why I go deep, but this is why I suggested you get into the habit of transcribing audios. It's really tough at first, but eventually, like most things, it gets easier the more you do it. Next one, utilize your preparation time. Just read those questions before you do it. And this is a great tip. Try, if possible, to predict the answer. And I not mean like gambling prediction. What I mean is like, you can see the question and it might be something about bus times. So you can be expecting to hear something about the time. And it could be, they might say 3:47, or they might say 13 minutes to 7, or they might say 6:47. Okay? So just be aware of the different variations. And that goes not only for times, but for dates, for years, the whole spectrum. Pretty much I just covered that. Number recognition, but this is just goes into a bit more detail. 13, 30, they sound very similar. 16, 60, they definitely do trip up students. Contradictions, this is a big trick examiners do play. They might confirm a date in the dialogue between them, and then one speaker might say, actually no, that's not right, let's change it 2 days back. Okay, and the beginner students will just take that first section of the dialogue as the answer and like, I've got it. But in reality, they've contradicted themselves a few moments later, and that's where the advanced students will pick up on that contradiction. Next one, paraphrasing. This is a great technique for the writing task as well. And basically you just need to be aware of the same information being expressed in different ways. Next one, phonetic linking. This is a master skill for advanced speakers and listeners. But basically this explains that the first time you hear an English speaker, it might sound like a block of sound, and then after a minute or two you start to decipher this block of sound into words and then sentences. And by the time you've done that, more than likely the conversation's moved on and you're scrambling and you want to say what you just thought of. This is very typical. I know this from personal experience, because I speak a few languages. I know this pain, I know this struggle. But basically, phonetic linking means that the words are getting mushed, they're getting pushed into one block of sound. I've done a full podcast on this and I broke it down, but just one example. You might hear, she's an engineer, okay? And here, because the last word in the first word was S, the consonant, and the next one is a vowel, it sounds like she's an. Where really we're saying she's an engineer, okay? So just be aware of that. It's usually consonants mixing with vowel sounds. But this is what native speakers do. And you, when you get better with your speaking, as you improve, you will find you start doing it too. It's just a natural element of speaking. Pronunciation awareness. Now, word of warning here. When I was in Spain, I remember a tutor saying, I've never been to England and I don't need to. I just learnt English through books here in Spain. And his pronunciation was horrendous. None of us understood him when he was speaking English. And the reason is because he's spent all the time reading and guessing the pronunciation and not doing that much listening. So this is another reason why transcribing is a great skill. Is a great way to improve not only your vocabulary but your pronunciation and master one of those exam skills, which is simultaneously listening while writing, while note-taking. So just be aware when you are reading, try and find the correct pronunciation, especially if it's a new word, because you don't want to use that word incorrectly for the rest of your life. So this is why listening to authentic native speaker material is a great way to avoid this issue. And when you hear a word, you write it down, or you write what you think you heard and then check online, and you'll be able to ideally improve it. As I said before, transcription exercises are the way forward. There's lots of tools online available to you for free to master this. Exposure. What I'm going to say here is quite straightforward, but it's basically making use of your downtime. So you're waiting for the bus, you're on the train, you're driving into work, whatever your situation, try and make sure that it's not lost time, and just try and listen to English while you're doing your activities. You could be even doing the dishes, emptying the dishwasher, doing your washing, whatever. Just try and make it a habit, and you will see a vast improvement in your English skills. And that's it for today's tutorial. and wishing you all the best with your IELTS exam. I'm pretty certain you can do this. If you need more help, if you want to take our test simulator, come over to IELTSPodcast.com. You'll be able to check it out there. Take as many tests as you want. It's your own personal IELTS examiner giving you feedback. And as I said before, soon we'll be adding the ability to hear the questions and eventually hear them in different accents. So you might be able to... I can't do my accent. I'll do a Brummie one.
If you're unlucky, you might get the speaking exam with a Brummie instructor, and then you're really in a pickle.
That's horrible. I'm off. Have a good exam and all the best.